Happy Thursday, everybody. I pray all is well. My name is Michael Gibson, and I'm talking about why I go to church. Truly, today is a blessed day, and I'm always excited and honored to be able to speak on the things that God has given me to speak upon and placed in my heart. Today I would say that my heart is overjoyed. I'm very excited, very excited. If you know me, then you would know this is my excited face. This is my happy face. This is my sad face. I only have one face, but truly in my heart is overwhelmed. And I'm just grateful to God for all the things that he keeps doing. Last week, I talked about I go to church because the perfecting of the saints. And I want you to know that your gift is designed to make room for you, and that God gives you a gift. If you believe in your gift, if you work your gift, amazing things can happen for you. Amazing things can happen to you. A lot of people miss out on the fact that they have to do a part. They have to do a part. They have a part to play. It's better English. We all have a part to play in the giftings that God has given us. And if you don't take the time to hone your gift, if you don't take the time to work on your gift, it's always going to be a struggle. It's always going to be a constant battle, because God is seated. He died. He's risen. He's not getting back on that cross. He's not getting back on that cross. And he's not walking the earth again in a physical human form. He's not walking the earth again in a physical human form. So many times you have people that will pray, and they'll say, well, this didn't happen for me. Why didn't God do it for me? God gives you gifts. It's your job to cultivate your gift. It is your job to get in position for your gift to work. Now you may say, well, Michael, why are you so happy? The reason I'm so happy is because last night I got to witness a gift making room for someone. My cousin last night, he got selected to play in the NBA in the first round. And it's a big thing. It's a big thing because I remember him as a young boy with aspirations to play in the NBA. I remember people saying, because of where he came from, and people that had gone on prior to him becoming of age, not succeeding, not making it. People begin to want to say, there's a level for you, but I don't see the next level for you. Yeah, they wanted you to have success, but not the pinnacle, the ultimate success. And last night, as a family, we had the opportunity to witness his dream come true. It's unbelievable to be able to walk in somebody's heart. Vision, that's what God puts in your heart. Sight is the natural function of the eye, but vision is the natural function of the heart. You have to keep your why in the forefront. Your why. The reason why you wake up in the morning. The reason why you go to work. The reason why you work out. The reason. What are the reasons? What are those reasons? You have to discover the why. When you discover the why, you'll make everything else happen. So I'm very excited that he got drafted. I'm very excited that he stuck through. And I'm going to talk about him a little bit today. This is why I go to church. So, I'm always going to try some faith-based principles and what I'm speaking about. But seeing it happen with my own two eyes is a big thing to me. So I'm very excited. So again, happy Thursday. My name is Michael Gibson. I speak on why I go to church. And I chose as a subject that, to get it in my heart. to go to church. I go to church to get it in my heart. Now you may ask what it is. I'm going to read a passage of scripture and then I'll go through what it is. So I'm going to start at Psalms, the 37th chapter, starting at the 23rd verse. And it reads as follows. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is merciful and lendeth, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore. For the Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. Verse 31. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. So when I was watching the process play out, and we've been watching this process now for a couple months, and originally I was thinking about the verse number 25, Psalms 37 and 25. It says, I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And I was very, very excited, thinking like, wow, God came through again. God came through again, and God performed like he always does. But as I stated before, God can anoint you. God can appoint you. But if you don't do anything with that anointing or that appointment, it's like it didn't even happen. Many times we become disappointed in life because we assume that being appointed means a smooth road. Appointment is simply potential to do something. Yeah, you've been approved to do something, but that's just the potential for you to do something. You've been given permission. You've been given permission to proceed in this job. You've been given permission to proceed in this call. You've been given permission to work in this vocation. But as we all know, as people that may have worked either in the home, either professionally, having the potential to do something such as clean the dishes and actually cleaning the dishes are two different things. Yes, you can say to your child, hey, I need you to go wash those dishes. But how many people know until he washes the dishes won't get washed. It won't get done. I can say, son, I need you to wash the dishes. But if my son never goes, A, load the dishwasher, B, fill up the water in the soap pan and wash it by hands, those dishes will not get washed. I say that to relay this message. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. but I've seen the righteous people do the work so they never have to beg for bread. And when we say begging bread, I don't mean hard times won't come. That don't mean that the land won't get hit with famine. That doesn't mean that sickness never tries to come on you. It doesn't mean that death and hardship will never happen in your life. That's not what that verse means. Some people misconstrue that you never begging bread and mistaken that for not having hard time. Now, the writer of the Psalms is David. And David was a man that went through many hardships, went through many struggles. David was a man that was appointed at a very young age. In 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 12, David was appointed to be king. He was appointed to be king. But David didn't become king for many, many, many years. And a lot of times we confuse God putting a dream in our heart and a vision in our heart. Sometimes we confuse with that vision and that dream just coming to pass right away. Sometimes it says write the vision and make it plain, and the ones that read it shall run. When you write the vision and you make it plain, the vision that God gives you is for you. And some people are not designed to help you reach the full manifestation of your vision. Some people are just not designed to do that. So there are people that are placed in your life to take you from point A to point B, and there could be another person placed in your life to take you from point B to point C. There are people that God will place in your life to get you from A to Z. And you must realize that the same person that had you at A, you may lose halfway through the middle of this journey, and they don't get to see the full fruition of this journey, because each step of the process is needed to make you who God has called you to be. Now, I'm calling this to have it in my heart, because when I saw him on the TV last night, and I saw his name, and I saw the jubilation of the family, how we all were so excited. The first passage of scripture was, I never seen the righteous, or I have not seen the righteous forsaken. But then as I began to read the rest of the verse, because I was trying to put it in context so that I could really understand the totality of what was being stated, if you go down a little bit further and you read the verse, the law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. So when I started at verse number 23, it says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. And then you jump down and you understand the law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. So the conclusion that I want to make is a way to keep your steps from sliding is to get the law of the Lord in your heart. Now, we can physically read the books of the Bible, the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, and we can read the books of the Torah. We can do all of that. But the word says that the letter killeth without the spirit. So this is not so much reading and being able to regurgitate. This is about a living, breathing document being interwoven into your heart. And the way that it gets interwoven into your heart, the way that it gets connected to be down on the inside of you, you must get the Spirit. When you accept the Spirit is the thing that allows the words to come to life. The Spirit is the thing that allows the words to jump off the page. It is the Spirit. It is the Spirit that gives life and give meaning to the vision. It is the Spirit that allows you the fortitude to keep going after the vision. So I go to church to get it in my heart. What is it in my heart? It is the law of his word, the truth of his word, the principles of his word, the plan in his word, in my heart. And the way that I keep the plan of his word, the laws of his word, the principle of his word, is to get his spirit on the inside of me, because it is his spirit that regulates my mind. It is his spirit that regulates my mind. Now, when I say regulates my mind, see, it is his spirit that gives me the ability to read this word and begin to want to feed my soul, my mind, will, and emotions more. See, it's hard to read this word. It's hard to want to listen to some teaching. It's hard to want to give a praise report when things look topsy-turvy. It's hard to want to do those things. But when you mature, remember I said for the perfecting of the saints, it's for the maturing of the saints. The gift in the body are given. So as you begin to mature, and as God begins to do a new thing in your life, as God begins to allow you to see behind the scenes and understand that all things work together for the good for them that are called according to his purpose. When you begin to walk according to his purpose and not just your own fleshly desired purpose, amazing things start to happen. I understand that the law of God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. You have to get it in your heart. You have to get it in your heart. You have to get it way down deep on the inside. And this doesn't happen by accidents. This doesn't happen by osmosis. This doesn't happen because your friends study. It doesn't happen that way for you. This is an individual affair. And if you can't read the tea leaves and see that this world is in a place that it's never been, now, I know that history repeats itself. I understand that. But this world is in a place that we haven't seen before. This world is moving at a speed and a rate that I haven't seen before. What I do know is that the boundaries are being pushed every single day. The limits are being pushed every single day. But it says, as sin increased, much more grace abounded. See, God has enough grace to get me through this. God has enough grace to get you through this. God has enough grace for all of his children, because see, his blood will never lose its power. The blood will shed, and the blood will never lose its power. The blood will do what it is designed to do. So I go to church because if I don't want my steps to slide, I must get it in my heart. Again, Psalms chapter 37, verse number 31, the law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. The law of his God. Who is your God? Who is leading you? Who is directing you? Who are you allowing to sit on the throne of your life? The throne of your heart. The seat of your mind. Who are you allowing to sit there? If your steps have been sliding, if you have been unable to gain your footing, if you feel as if you needed to put some change on your tires like we do in the north when it snows to get traction, if you think you need to change your tire because there is no traction, it could be because the God and the laws that you are allowing to be put in your heart. I go to church because I'm beginning to understand that in order for my steps to be ordered, and in order for my steps not to slide, I need to get the word in my heart. Now, what does this have to do with what I was talking about earlier? Well, last night as I was watching him on Instagram and he began to celebrate, and there's a song that says, "Congratulations." And they were playing the song, "Congratulations." And at one point, because the word was in his heart, he said, "Nah, we got to cut this track. DJ, we got to cut this track. Can I get me some Marvin Sapp? Mr. DJ, can you play my song?" So he interrupted the celebration to go back to the law that was in his heart. And the song that he played was, "I never would have made it. I never could have made it without you." So here's a young man. Here's a young man that is drafted in the NBA. Here's a young man on one of the biggest stages. And guess what happened? He decided to honor his God in his own personal celebration. Yes, they singing a song celebration. It's a wonderful song. It's a passionate song. But guess what? That's not the source that has been sustaining him. So he puts on the song, I never would have made it without you. He remembered who his God was. See, when we remember who our God is, you won't see the righteous forsaken. You won't see the righteous forsaken. You won't see his seed begging bread. His children, his offspring. There will be a difference. So even when calamity strikes, they won't have it on the same level. Yeah, we might not have food in the refrigerator at the moment, but God will open up doors that we haven't seen. God can make ways out of no way, or God can put a disposition. He can give me, you know, the garment of praise. He can put that on me, or he won't allow the spirit of fear to be upon me when hardship around. So I'm not saying that as a child of God and as a believer that we won't experience hardship. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying as a believer that we won't experience disappointment, but many times it's how you handle and how you view your situation that helps you get through the situation. When you know that God is on your side, and when you know that God is leading you, when you understand that people will assign you worth when you don't know your worth. People will assign you a value, and in your mind you could be rating yourself 1,000, and they could be saying you're only worth 100. They could be giving you 10% of your worth. But if you don't speak up and give the confidence, because you know that greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. When you know who your God is, it gives you a little bit of backbone. When you know who your God is, it allows you to stand and stand on his word and be thou strong and courageous. Meaning that you go even in the presence of fear. You go because you understand that this is how we fight our battles. We fight our battles by praising our way through. We fight our battles by applying and utilizing the gifts and talents that God has placed in us. There's a difference between being appointed than actually walking and doing the vocation. Many people will say, I have the call of God on my life. Your enemy doesn't care that you're called. He cares when you answer the call. The challenge that I have for people today that may catch me now or later is answer the call. When the bell is rung, go in the game. When the bell is rung, answer the call. Because your gift will work for you when you work your gift. The question is it in your heart? Is this law in your heart? Have you spent enough time communicating with God that you begin to understand and realize that he will never leave you and he will never forsake you? Have you spent enough time with God to know that when tough times come, that they will pass, that there will be seed, time, and harvest, and long as the earth remains? He said that there's a time and a season and a purpose under the heaven for everything. This is in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There's a time and a purpose for everything. There's a season for everything. When you really walk with God, you'll understand that after mourning becomes dancing. You'll begin to understand that. So your expectation will begin to raise. Your understanding, okay, this is a season, so this doesn't last. The rain don't last forever. Yeah, the longest time was 40 days and 40 nights, but after the 40 days and 40 nights of the rain, a rainbow came, which was a sign of God's covenant. A rainbow is going to come. Just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold on. Sometimes we forget that we have to do our part and hold on to God's unchanging hand. And if you go to this verse, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. This is verse 23, and he delighteth in his way. And verse number 24, it says, though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. The Lord upholdeth him with his hand. God is awesome. I know there is a God. Because I remember when my cousin, his name is Emmanuel Quickly. I remember when he first started going to Kentucky. In his first season, he didn't average as many points as we desire. I say we because the family desired. I know he had his own aspirations and what he thought he could be or should be. And then the start of his second season, because Kentucky is a pretty big school, people were saying he should transfer because they are a school that has a lot of what we call one and done players, meaning they go for 1 year and then they head off to the draft. So if you come back a second year, many times your spot could be taken by an incoming freshman that's going to make a big splash. And he was put into the starting lineup. And then I turn on the TV one day, I don't see him in the starting lineup. I would see the coach talking about other players, and I remember him coming home. And I remember, just talking to him. And I remember that he knew in his heart, this is what I want to do. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to do what it takes. I know that God has gifted me to shoot this ball. I'm going to be in the gym when no one else wants to be in the gym. I'm going to be studying film when no one else wants to study. I'm going to put in the work to make sure that I get the full thing out of the gift that God has given us. And then mid-season, things started to change. Things started to change. Not only did things start to change, you couldn't deny. You could not deny that this was the appointed time and the anointed time for him. You couldn't deny it was the appointed time, but now it was the anointed time. There was something special, and he goes for 25, and then he goes for 30. He begins to go off, and guess what? They're headed in their season, and they're getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Games canceled. Every college kid my age and younger, all we ever talk about is the NCAA tournament. NCAA tournament is canceled, and now his college career is over abruptly. It will be very easy to say that I'm just going to give up. God, you must be wrong. But see, the vision that was in his heart, the vision that was in his heart was for Emmanuel. It wasn't for us. The vision was for Emmanuel. And Emmanuel held on to the vision. And guess what happened? He knew the principle. He knew that God was faithful that promise. He knew that God was faithful that promise. He knew the promises of God are yes and amen. And I say this because I know his heart. I know him personally. He has the faith. And what he did was his season abruptly ended. He went into the gym to begin to prepare for the next stage. I'm pretty sure there was some disappointment. I'm pretty sure there were some times like, wow, I didn't get to do this. I didn't get to have that. But guess what happened? Last night, they called his name. They called his name. And all the hard work paid off. Everyone that had been praying for him had an opportunity to experience this moment with him. Because God is faithful. But see, when you put the law of God in your heart, as this verse says, that law will keep your foot from sliding. That law will keep you focused. That law, when you get the word in your heart and you begin to read these 66 books of the Holy Scriptures, you will begin to see the faithfulness of God. You will begin to see that even when the children of Israel or the Hebrews got into trouble, that God always made a way. Yes, there was times where they broke covenant. Yes, there was times when there was a penalty for breaking covenant, but God was married to them. God never turned his back on them. God always had a way to get them out. But guess what? You must believe that God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. You must believe that. It says, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct. He will direct. He will direct. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And as I watched my cousin celebrate, he acknowledged God. Yes, they were playing a song, congratulations. But that wasn't the thing that was sustaining him. On the biggest stage, on the biggest moment, with the cameras rolling, he had to put on the thing that was in his heart. He had to go back to the moments. He had to go back in the memory bank. See, when men turned their back on him, when people say you should have quit, you should do this, you should give up. And even after he got drafted, there are people saying he got taken too early. If you think you're 1,000 and someone else assigns you a 10, Someone else signs you 100. When you know your worth, you want to accept other people diminishing your value. Now, when you know your worth and you put in the work, you definitely want to accept it. Sometimes we're so gifted and we're so talented that we give up before we get the opportunity to reap the harvest, to reap the benefits. I want to encourage you, don't give up. God has given gifts to mature you. God is giving gifts to sustain you. Your gift will work for you if you work your gift. You got to believe. The word says that all things are possible to them that believe. And I remember watching this last night thinking, I don't know if he's going to make it. I don't know if he's going to make it and get selected in the first round. Because now, you're getting 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Well, there's only 30 picks in the first round. So we're like, we don't know if it's going to happen. We're going to put our kids to bed. But I said, sweetie, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Now I'm reading the projections like everybody else is. I'm on ESPN and I'm saying, okay, where's this position? Some people saying he could go 47. Some people saying he could go 52. Some people saying he could go 54. And in my heart, I'm like, well, if he goes 54, long as he's in the top 60, that's good. But I had told my wife, let's just watch again. Let's just wait to put the kids to bed. In the 25th pick, listen, they told him he wouldn't survive at Kentucky. And after his first year wasn't as great as others thought it should be, you should transfer from Kentucky. Then after the season started and he wasn't starting, he stuck it out. He goes into the draft and people are saying, you're going to be a late second round draft pick. God is faithful. God is faithful. What will you do on your biggest moments? Will you honor God? And I was never so proud, never more proud of him, because in the biggest moment, with the camera crews rolling, because they're doing a little clip about NBA drafts, he said, put on some Marvin Sapp. I was more excited about the Marvin Sapp than about the pick. Because what young man do you know that will remember God in the behind the scenes? Because this wasn't on, ESPN. Now, this wasn't on the ESPN show. This is him with his mom and his aunt and his brother and his uncle and his grandparents. And in that moment, with his agent, he says, DJ, cut the track. It reminds me of David when he wouldn't take the armor of Saul because it was unproven. And when David was carrying the Ark of the Covenant, how it took him forever because he would worship God. Every 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, he would worship God. And I remember when David got with his wife, she saw him afar off. She said, David, you embarrassing me. Why are you out here? You the king. Why are you out here showing your hind parts? Why are you out here embarrassing me? I think it was Abigail. And David says to her, if you thought I was putting on a show then, watch what I do now. And the king is out there and he danced his clothes off. He did his thing. He praised and worshiped God because he understood the worth of God. He understood that he wouldn't have made this long journey if it truly wasn't God carrying him on the biggest stage, bringing back everything. This young man began to worship God in a way that was so pure and so authentic. And it's all because it was the law of his God that he wrote in his heart, that his foot didn't slide. I honestly understand because he got it in his heart. He knew who was buttering his bread. He knew who was opening doors for him. He knew what was sustaining him. The question is, what is sustaining you? Many times we get on the biggest stage and we forget to honor the person that God is there. The person, the people that believed in us. You have to get this in your heart. If you don't get anything else out of what I'm saying, you must get this in your heart. If you get this in your heart, I promise you, God will never leave you. He will never leave you. Tough times may come, but tough times don't last. And after every storm, there's always a brighter day. The sun begins to peek out. The question is, do you have enough word in you to be sustained through the storm? Do you have enough word in you to be sustained through the storm? I know I'm doing a lot of talking about Emmanuel today because my heart is overjoyed for him. I'm very happy for him. But there is lessons to be learned in every story. And what I learned is that if you do what's right, if you keep honoring God, you will receive a harvest. You will receive a harvest. Harvests don't come overnight. In my own little garden that I have in my yard, you know, I plant the seed, I water the seed, I got to de-weed the flower bed, and sometimes I have to protect the plant from predators like caterpillars and other type of bugs that may come trying to destroy the fruit of the seed. See, they're not going after the seed itself. They're going after the fruit of the seed. But it's the fruit of the seed that is designed to prosper you. It is the fruit of the seed that is designed to prosper you. And when you understand that the fruit of the tree is the tree's gift. Did you catch it? The fruit of the tree is the tree's gift. The enemy doesn't always come after the seed, but he comes after the fruit. He comes after the thing that God intended to sustain you. He comes after the thing that God has intended to put you in front of great men. You got to understand that you got to stick with God long enough that your seed can mature enough to produce a fruit. Because the fruit is the gift of the tree. The fruit is the gift of the tree. The enemy is after the fruit so that you can't prosper. The enemy doesn't care that you're called. He cares that you answer the call, because when you answer the call, you will stick in the game long enough to produce a fruit. And when your fruit becomes a harvest, that's when the rewards come. And many times we give up too early. Many times we want to call it quits before we ever produce the fruit. See, it's one thing to get a bud and a flower. It's another thing to produce the fruit. Because in my garden, I have many things that begin to bud and flower, but I don't always get a piece of fruit off of that thing, because there's a next level. There's a next push. There's another level that you have to go to get the fruit. It's one thing to get the seed to come out of the ground. It's another step to get the seed to get a bud and a flower. But it's another step to produce the fruit. Produce fruit. Do whatever you can to produce fruit. Stop settling just for a bud. Many times what happens is we begin to see that bud, and we get to that bud, and people come around us, and we become complacent. We become happy. We become satisfied. We become We become so happy that we just saw the bud, and not realizing that it wasn't about the bud, but it was about the fruit. You must stick around long enough for your seed to become fruit. Stop settling for the flower and the bud and get the fruit. God wants us to produce fruit. The fruit is the gift of the tree. Your gift will work for you if you work your gift. I promise you. I promise you, your gift will work for you if you work your gift. And too often, we're not working our gift to its maximum potential. Or we give up when our gift is at the flowering stage, and not realizing that we have to hold on for the gift to make fruit, because it is the fruit that becomes monetized, and that is what sustains you. So I go to church to get it in my heart. Psalms 37, verse 31. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. None of his steps shall slide. If you want to have sure footing, get into this word. And make sure that you're serving the true and living God. I would ask that if this message has blessed you in any way, that you would share it out. Share this message out, because someone needs to know that God loves them, and that God is able to keep you from falling. God is able to keep your foot from sliding. And as I saw God be faithful to Emmanuel last night, God is not any respecter of person. If you put in the work like this young man did, I promise you that your gift will sustain you. The question that I have for you, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to put in the work? Sometimes we're just unwilling to do what it takes to achieve success. I want to be successful in the things of God. That means I must put in the work. If I want to be successful with the gift that God has given me, that means I have to put in the work. Sight is the natural function of the eye. Vision is the natural function of the heart. Put in the work. Put in the work. KLPCW Kingdom Radio listeners, thank you for being a beautiful audience. I apologize for the audio snafu, but for the few minutes that you heard me, I pray that you got the point of the message. Have a blessed day, KLPWC Kingdom Radio listeners. I'm telling you that you must become fully confident that God is faithful. You must become fully confident in that word. You have to become confident in that word that God is faithful. When you become confident in the word that God is faithful, it will allow you to stick through hard times. It says that, tough times don't last, but tough people do. What I would say is, People that depend on God can make it through any storm. You can make it through the storm. You can make it through the rain. You can make it through your trials. You can make it through the pain. Though you may not understand, there is a purpose and there is a plan. So you have to believe God in order to receive his many blessings. Again, this is Michael Gibson, and it's why I go to church, to get it into my heart. If you get it into your heart, then your foot won't slide. Thank you. You've been a beautiful audience, and have a blessed day.